Well, the 2018 college football season is upon us, and the Cal Poly football Mustangs are ready to open up season number 100, number 25 in the FCS, and number 10 under head football coach Tim Walsh. We caught up with Coach to talk about what to expect here in 2018. All right, Coach, let's start with the biggest issue in 2017. That was obviously the health of a lot of your key players. What's the health for these guys coming into the 2018 season?
Well, I think the nucleus of the guys that were banged up last year, they're healthy. I mean, they're good to roll. And, from Harry Whitson on the offensive line to Joe Prothro at H, Khalil Jenkins, they're good and ready to go and excited to be back. And I think that, Khalil, if you really look at Khalil Jenkins, he's had a pretty tough career. He's forced to play one game as a freshman, played very sparingly as a sophomore. His time's here. Let's go get him. Plays up and down a little bit, but some really good games early in the season next year. Gets hurt and misses almost the last 6 or 7 games of his junior year. And to have him back is really, it's been a pleasure to be around him. He's excited to be that guy. And the other thing I think people forget on injuries, they think it's just the physical part of it, but we lost all our leaders last year. So our leadership was also gone, and that's a tough. That might be more important, maybe, than even the physical ability to play the game. Is that you lose the leadership, and you lose some confidence when you lose your leaders.
Sports fans, sports media, we tend to have a short-term memory. It was just 2 years ago that you were hosting a playoff game right here at Alex G. Spanos Stadium. What are some keys to success in getting back to the postseason here in 2018?
Well, I definitely wish the weather was like this today 2 years ago. I can guarantee you that much. But, in reality, last year, I mean, we really can look and learn from last year, but we're trying not to say it's out of sight right now. We've done our learning part of it. We've evaluated as coaches. We've talked with our players. We've talked with our leadership. And we're going to move forward in 2018. It's a new season. Really, the formula's simple. You have to win at home. And you already mentioned we have 6 home games. You got to get some good wins at home in the Big Sky. And you got to find a way to at least split on the road in this tough conference. And if you can do that, you give yourself an opportunity. And the simplest formula I can give you is the offense needs to take care of the football. And we need to be better in the kicking game. And I think if we can do those 2 things, then I think that we have the opportunity to win a lot of games. And regardless of who we're playing or what they're ranked or any of those things, really doesn't matter. What matters is where you are in Week 11.
Well, you lost a lot on your front 7 from the 2017 squad. Obviously, the defense was able to keep you in a lot of games last season. How do you look to replace some of those guys up front defensively and at the linebacker spot?
Well, I think definitely the experience that we had on the defensive line is going to be missed. There's no question about it. Now, we are good on the defensive line. We're just extremely young. I mean, extremely young. I mean, there's really going to be true freshmen and probably 2 redshirt freshmen starting. So I think that those 3 guys, there's probably 5 or 6 of them, too, that are competing that are that age. So I think that to replace guys like Jack Ferguson, Fino Elisaya, Big Leroy, and all those are tough guys to replace. But you got to replace them, and they didn't get as much time as you'd want to last year because we were young. But they're going to get thrown to the fire, and they're going to have to grow up in a hurry. But they have the physical capabilities. It's whether they're really ready to play the game at the college level mentally and physically and schematically that will make a difference for us up front. But that's going to be a huge challenge. Linebacker, I feel real good about Nick Navarro. I think Nick Navarro is going to be a really good football player, and I think there's 4 or 5 other guys that are competing for the other linebacker position. Joey Ruiz, Matt Shotwell, Fenton Will, those guys have had outstanding springs and outstanding fall camps so far too. And then Jason Lee does come back, who I think is going to be even better than he's been. That Tasmanian devil attitude that he has is somewhat contagious to our defense. So we'll look forward to it. We get great leadership. Anders Turner and comes back as a great leader for us and a really good football player. And then the secondary, I think, is pretty much competitive, but a lot of guys have had experience.
Now, prior to last season, for 4 consecutive seasons, your program was at the top of the FCS in rushing yardage. Obviously, the drop-off last year, in large part to some of the injuries you had on offense. How do you get back to the top of the FCS with your triple option attack here in 2018?
When you really look at the continuity of our offense and what really makes it go, the offensive line is a big part of it. And at some point in time, we played without 3 starters. Towards the end of the year, and then it's interrupted when your quarterback, I mean, he's the decision maker, is gone in the middle of the 4th or 5th game, and then you take your Walter Payton, and even though Jared Mohammed, unbelievably great player, and did a great job, first team all-conference, made small American teams, but, Joe Prothro, so you were right up the middle. We went Harry Whitson, Joe Prothro, and Khalil Jenkins. That's going to take its toll on you. And I think, teams are doing a better job against us. I mean, we've been in the league now for, this will be the 7th year into the league. And I think that, teams have gotten a better idea how to defend us. But that not an excuse. The fact is we need to play better and execute better, and that's the bottom line thing. Is I think that our thing really is more of our attitude and how we play the game, and that's why I mentioned leadership earlier in the interview. Is the fact that having the leaders back, the guys that have been there and done that, Joe Prothro and Harry, have both been a part of leading the nation in rushing offense, and they definitely want to get us back to exactly where we were. So I think there's some hunger on the offense, and the schedule's tough, and the defenses we're playing are tough, but we got to get back to playing with a great tough mentality on the offensive side of the ball.